I had to hand copy in fabric pen with myself all of these doodles onto the shoes. So I drew a lot of penises.
The life of a costume designer.
So many penises.
Hello, welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Spencer Williams.
And I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass. Look at you doing the intro, Spencer.
It's so weird. I don't like it. You need to be the intro girl.
All right. Yeah. Don't worry. That will always be my job on our main episodes.
Today we have an exciting bonus episode. We are joined by an incredible guest, costume designer Whitney and Adams. Whitney, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. We are here to talk to you about your new recent film on Paramount, 3 Months with Troye Sivan. Such a good film. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
It was so heartwarming.
Yes.
It's so sweet. I'm just so thrilled I got to be a part of this project.
It brought me so much joy. The colors, the location, everything. So we're going to really dive into it. But first, we want to dive into your background.
Yeah. So looking at your IMDb, and Spencer was telling me a little bit about that you've worked with some of the bigs, Catherine Martin, a favorite of mine, Aiko Ishioka. So how did you get into costume design?
It's so funny because I went to school for pre-med. I started college pre-med. I'd done drama in high school, but only as an actor because my program was just acting only. I didn't really realize costume design existed. And then I took one fun class my first semester of college, which was Intro to Theater Design. And within 2 weeks, I had changed my major. I made a PowerPoint presentation to my parents, like, this is what I'm doing. I know it's going to be a hard life, but I'm prepared for it. I don't think I truly knew how hard it was going to be, but I'm so grateful. I never looked back, 2 weeks into college. And luckily I went to UC San Diego, which has an incredible theater program. And I weaseled my way into, I think, 12 grad classes when I was there.
Wow.
And that was sort of the beginnings of it all. But it really stems back to watching Catherine Martin's work in Moulin Rouge when I was in high school. And I watched that movie so much. And I think that was sort of the first turning moment that, oh, costumes. Oh, this is a thing. Oh, this is a career path.
Yeah, and last time I interviewed you, you brought up the fact that you used to tailor for Aiko Ishioka. I immediately called Elizabeth after our interview, and I was like, you cannot believe the interview I just did. You have to just kind of give Elizabeth a little bit of the story from your own mouth.
I'm like a little bit obsessed, not going to lie.
I still can't believe that I got to work for her for a couple of years. Back in the day when, there were job lists on Craigslist, I just moved to New York and I answered an ad to be a costume PA on an opera that was going to Cambodia. And the designer of that, Camille Asaf, she was Aiko's assistant, and Aiko was looking for a tailor, and I'm a tailor. And so she connected the two of us. And then for years I made Aiko's personal skirts, and I made TV covers for her apartment. She had this beautiful all-white apartment overlooking Central Park, but she didn't like the, giant black TV, so I made a white, ottoman cover to go over it, and then, all-white apartment, and then she was working at Spider-Man, the Broadway show at the time, and so she had all of her renderings on the wall, which was incredible. And then after we finished our work for the day, she would make a pot of green tea, and we would sit around her kitchen table. And she would tell me stories from Dracula, from working with Grace Jones. I still can't believe that all happened. And she was so kind. I just went to the Academy Museum yesterday for the first time. And there's so much Aiko there. And it makes my heart so happy. Yes. And I got really emotional just seeing that and just hearing her acceptance speech. And I miss her voice so much. And so it was really special to get to see that yesterday.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to go to the Academy Museum. I straight burst into tears seeing some of Aiko's stuff there, and it's so ridiculous. Like, I feel like such a nerd, but yeah, she's just everything. So thank you for sharing that story.
That dress from Bram Stoker's, or the outfit that Gary Oldman wears, it's based on the Kiss from by Klimt.
Yeah.
Just seeing that in person is worth the price of admission. It's stunning. I just stood there sort of slack-jawed for 5 minutes.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I went with a tour group actually, and I snuck away from the tour group. They kept going, and I was like, like standing over here in the darkness for 15 more minutes. I love talking to Whitney. So let's get into 3 Months, starring Troye Sivan. Such a great film. The first thing I noticed about this film was the incredible color palette. It's so vibrant. It brought so much joy. Very Florida, very Miami. Also, like, kind of low-key Los Angeles vibes, too. I know that you come from LA. Neons, pastels. While the subject matter was actually quite heavy, the colors you put together along with the sets brought a sense of joy to the film. I guess we could start there.
Oh, completely. I mean, from the get-go, we really wanted to capture 2011 Florida, and that sort of Florida color palette was so important. Plus, we're taking on this heavy subject matter, but the way that Jared has written the story and the way that our actors, embodied these characters, we wanted to keep it light because HIV is no longer a death sentence. And we wanted to really show that this is, educating the audience while also creating this beautiful story following Caleb. And so we wanted to really embody that light atmosphere with the color palette.
Talking about that light atmosphere, it was set in 2011, which was so fascinating to me because I was like, I was in high school during this time. I was like, this is crazy. So like it really landed with me. How did you approach that like time frame where it's like it is a time and place that has a very particular look, but it's really not that long ago?
It was really interesting digging into the photos of that time period to see how far clothing and fashion truly has come, because so much was so different. I mean, cargo shorts everywhere. Just so many long cargo shorts on like every, gender, everything. There's just cargo shorts for everyone. But it was a lot of looking at, digging into Flickr and looking at people's family photos from 2011. It was, finding all those little crevices on the internet from 2011 because you want to find real people and what real people were wearing. I hit the jackpot on YouTube. Some person stuck a camera on top of their bike and biked down the Hollywood Beach, Florida boardwalk. So there's a 10-minute video of the entire boardwalk in summer 2011 in Hollywood, Florida. And I was like, how does this video exist? That was sort of my base sort of foundation, building the colors and the styles and the clothes up from there. Because I really wanted it to be true to life in that time and place. And, because it's not a story from now, especially because HIV research and drugs and everything has come so far, even from 2011. So really wanted to make sure that the clothes aided in the time and place that this takes place, because it is not a contemporary movie.
No, and I really appreciate that. And I love the research you put into it, because nowadays, like, whenever a high schooler is depicted, I'm like, are they really in high school or are they in college? So I really appreciated watching this and being like, oh yeah, these are just two like fresh out of high school kids dealing with real life now.
Right. It was so weird. Like, I also was in high school in 2011, and these days you don't see a lot of films or shows depicting that weird era of us being in high school. So I felt really seen. It was pretty weird.
Oh, fantastic. It is such a fascinating time and place for clothing, because it was a very insular time. I feel like transitional period for sure.
Right. What also was super fun to me was all of the graphic tees. I mean, I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan, obviously. I mean, the stuff on my wall behind me. I noticed some Fleetwood Mac shirts. I saw that awesome orange tee that I really wanted to dive into with the eye on it. It's just so fun, every single look that Caleb was wearing.
I spent so much time on Etsy trying to find the perfect tees, because I felt like Caleb was a person who, doesn't have a lot of money, and he was sort of going through all of the thrift stores and trying to dig and find interesting things. Plus, he's super into David Bowie. So that eyes t-shirt is actually embroidered David Bowie eyes. So
That's
when
so
his
cool.
vest is off, you can tell that they're the two different pupils, like very much David Bowie's eyes. And it's from a beautiful store in Canada called Embroiderline. And she made me so many of these tees, and we dyed them from the white to this sort of pastel orange color to, again, evoke Hollywood, Florida. And we figured it was something he either made or found because he's such a big Bowie fan. And then going to, Fleetwood Mac, the Rumors t-shirt was so important to me because it sort of represents that album was made in such a tumultuous relationship time, and sort of echoes the time and place that Caleb is in his headspace, especially when he wears the Rumors t-shirt. It's the hardest night of the whole film for him. He approaches his mom. He has the breakup with Esta. So much is happening. And also that white button-down t-shirt he wears over it. I thought that was his dad's, but he's been storing it on the ground. It's wrinkled. It sort of represents everything that's going on in his head at once. And also, I had to get Stevie Nicks' permission to use the Fleetwood Mac t-shirt. And I have an email from her promising not to sue the production that we could.
From Stevie Nicks, not her. That's insane.
I know, it's pretty incredible.
Please print that out and frame that immediately.
Thank you, Stevie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I mean, even if she said no, I would have framed it too. But okay.
Yeah.
I took a lot of these pictures from YouTube. I mean, not YouTube. Why did I say YouTube? I took a lot of these pictures from your Instagram. The blue shirt he's wearing when he's eating his donuts, is that also a Fleetwood Mac shirt?
It is. It's a tour. It's a poster of one of their tours.
Oh, I want that. I was looking at your Instagram. I was like, wait, what is that? I need it.
It's covered in donuts now.
Right. I mean, those donuts too. I was like, wow, this is really hitting right now. What else was hitting, which I thought was really interesting, was all the doodling we saw throughout the film. His shoes, his name tag. What role did you play in all these doodled pieces? I'm going to guess a big role.
Well, I did all of that. That's all hand done by me.
Oh my goodness.
And the amount of hours it took to do. I think I ended up making 12 pairs of shoes, 14 pairs of shoes. And that name tag I did on the fly, right before we started filming the first Mini Mart scene. I was like, just going to doodle. I have all my pens with me. But in my first fitting with Troy, well, I'll go back to Jared in the script. It's he wears the same white Converse the whole movie, and they're doodled completely full of all of these doodles. It sort of represents Caleb's, all of his inner thoughts are sort of on these shoes. And that's how he sort of has another artistic outlet in addition to his photography. So it was already something that was going to be a major thing to do from the beginning. And when Troy came in for his first fitting, it was here's some paper, here's some Sharpies, do some doodles for me that you think Caleb would do. And then I took those doodles that he did, and then I put them on the shoes and then added a bunch of my own drawings. And then I sort of riffed on what he was doing. So it was definitely a tag team project between the two of us, but I had to hand copy in fabric pen with myself all of these doodles onto the shoes. So I drew a lot of penises.
The life of a costume designer.
So many penises. It was quite a labor of love. I think I didn't start the first pair until the day before filming because everything was so crazy. And I had to make 3 pairs for the first day of filming because the first scene that we filmed was when he draws a penis on the shoe in the in the hospital room, in the clinic room. So I was because there's 6 different phases that the shoes go through over the course of the movie because he draws on them in the film. So it was a lot of drawing.
Wow. That is intense. I'm trying to think in my head oh, maybe that's something I could do. But now I'm starting to think about it. I'm like, no, this even sounds hard to me.
Each side of a shoe took an hour and a half.
No, not for me. Thank you, though. Get it with me.
I loved it because that was another one of those throwback moments where I was like, that was such a thing in high school that people did.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that too. I'm like, I know this guy. I know him, you know?
Another character I knew was Dara. So fun, so quirky, so unique. How did you approach her style?
My biggest thing is I always talk to my actors first before I really start diving in. Of course, I do all of my research, but as soon as I'm able to talk to them. So I immediately called Brianne as soon as I was able to. And we talked about how she saw Dara. And we really wanted to have this tomboy vibe. You know, her underwear is all like Tomboy X, which I love, which didn't exist then. But I was like, I need to use them.
Okay. When I saw her underwear, I was like, that looks like tomboy.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe it is, maybe it's not.
I was like, this is not period appropriate, but they were just too perfect, especially with the rainbow on the side. I was like, I have to use these. We're just going to pretend that they're
normal people won't know. It's okay.
And then we wanted to also mirror Caleb because they're best friends. They've spent so many years growing up together. So they have a lot of similar shapes and colors, especially this photo of them on the bike. You know, she's wearing all these button downs that are vintage inspired. She's wearing the same sort of jeans. Most of her shoes were Converse, but just different styles from what Caleb's were. So there's a lot of echoing that I wanted to really make sure that you knew that they were the best of friends. And then I'm obsessed with her necklace, which came from a local seller in Atlanta. Links, they're amazing. She made that custom for us. And then she made one. And it's just so beautiful. And it's sort of Dara's touchstone, kind of like Caleb's shoes are the thing that his through line throughout the whole movie. Her necklace she wears in every costume. So, you know, having those things that really are exemplify who they think they are.
I love that. Wow. Another place I can kind of see you did that was with Valerie, played by the amazing Ellen Bernstein. I've loved her for years. I watched Political Animals way back when it was on, so I've loved her ever since. And as soon as I saw her, she was in this movie, I was like, absolutely. And she had such a great style too, with all her little like fancy neckties. What was it like?
She's so chic.
I bought so many neckties. And you got more in the original script that she is a feminist professor. So she's sort of a hippie professor. She does her own thing. She's a super strong woman. We wanted to find a way, but she's also older. And Ellen and I both wanted to, you know, she's conscious about her neck and wants to cover it with these, you know, really fun neck scarves. And it's sort of her, that's her character, sort of iconic thing. You know, that's what her character loves to wear. And then also what I loved is the red shirt that she wears to have that, you know, in bed with Caleb when she's sort of, you know, comforting him. That's her own personal shirt that means a lot to her. And on our first Zoom call, she's like, I really feel strongly about wearing this shirt because it has so much emotion personally tied up in that shirt. And so I think it will really help me in that scene. And I think it really feels like the right choice. And that was so beautiful and wonderful. And I love that she was using something from her own life to tap into Valerie. And this is my second time getting to work with Ellen. I worked with her on Wiener Dog. I was the assistant costume designer of that movie. And in that one, she wears this like giant nightgown dress and like huge cataract glasses. So it was nice to make totally different with her.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Talking about totally different, one character that stood out to me because it's so colorful, so much fun. When he goes to his mom to kind of get that comfort, I was like, throughout the movie, he talks that, oh, we're Jewish, and like, I was like, okay, whatever. And then when you see his mom, that she's like very Orthodox, that like shocked me. I was like, it was such a contrast that you created there.
Yeah, it felt like we stepped into a whole different movie for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Completely. And in earlier scripts, you saw her in the beginning of the movie, but you didn't sort of know the context of who she was. I'm really glad that Jared made the choice to really, the first time we meet her is at that really climax part of the movie where Caleb is just distraught and not doing well and like in a really dark place. And then she just, physically shuts the door on him, and just showing the huge difference in lifestyles between where Caleb is in his life with Valerie and Benny at their house, and then his mom who rejected him and kicked him out of the house. It's very, very stark and very different. She's all in dark colors, very modest, and Caleb is completely covered too, but he's in all whites and creams, and again, really echoing that they are completely different people and essentially not even really family anymore.
Well, Whitney, this has been so much fun. I'm obsessed with this movie. We could probably talk about it forever. It's just so colorful, and I really need to get some color in my closet. Wearing all black all the time is starting to feel kind of old. We do a little section here on a podcast called One Costume to Rule Them All. Would you like to play with us?
Oh, I would love to play.
All right, hit the music, Daniel.
The one costume to rule them all. We're not Lord of the Rings nerds at all.
No, not at all. Whitney, why don't you go last? So we'll kind of hype you up first. I'll go first. I actually changed my mind while we were talking. Originally, I was going to pick the Bowie shirt, but I have since changed my mind to my one costume to rule them all is the Fleetwood Mac shirt, the Rumor shirt with the white jacket. Just hearing the background story behind it, it really turned me around. I'm like, of course, that's my obvious choice. It's just so cool.
It is the obvious choice, Spencer, because that was my one costume to rule them all.
I'm sorry. Just once she explained it, I was like, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's so perfect in the film. One of the things I do love about it is how it's all white and pale, and it really lets him act as well, because you just see all his emotion. It's incredible. You're amazing.
All right, Whitney. So what's your one costume to rule them all?
That Fleetwood Mac outfit is definitely a close second to my favorite outfit, but my favorite outfit has to be the one that he wears both in the beginning and the end of the movie. It's this color wheel t-shirt.
Yes.
And I love that in the beginning, he has his completely, scrawled on shoes, and by the end, he's wearing a completely all-white pair of Converse. It's a fresh start in the beginning. He's still the same Caleb. He's still the same person. He's just making a fresh start regardless of what his, status is. So that one just ties up a lot of emotion for me.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's so awesome. And I thought that was such a cool point, too, when he, pulled out the all-white Converse. I was like, wow, it's peak storytelling through costume design right here.
Yes.
It doesn't get better than that.
I was so thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled. I remember I read this script on an overnight when I was working on Freaky. I think I read it at 3 a.m. I had a meeting with Jared and our producers, Dan and Laura, at 10 a.m. the next day. It was like a Friday into a Saturday morning. And I was bedraggled, and I was like, someone give me coffee. But I was so in love with this script, and I knew I had to make this movie, and I had to basically be like, please hire me.
Oh,
and I'm so glad that they did.
Oh my gosh. Wow, this has been a while then, if this was right after you finished Freaky or before or after.
Yeah, we were halfway through filming when we started prep in January 2020. We were halfway through filming, got shut down on March 13th, so tomorrow. 2 years ago tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And then we didn't start back up again until September 2020, and we finished it in November 2020. So it basically took all of 2020 to make this film. So it's a huge labor of love for me, and also sort of how much it echoes waiting on a health diagnosis and what we were all going through at the time. So I have so many intense feelings with this movie, and I'm so proud of it.
Well, with that, this is just such a huge testament to your talent. Whitney Ann Adams, I love you. You have to see her work. 3 Months is on Paramount right now, so you have to go stream it immediately.
Yes.
Also, other great films. Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin, such a great film. India Sweets and Spices, so good. And you also have another exciting film coming out soon that I'm so excited to see. We Have a Ghost. I'm so excited to see that.
I've been wanting to see that. Oh my gosh, I'm definitely seeing it now.
Yes, the fall of this year. It should come out sometime in the fall. So, check your calendars then.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Whitney. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. This was beautiful and so much fun.
The Art of Costume Blogcast is hosted and produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams. Our audio engineering and editing is done by Dan White. Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod or visit theartofcostumeblogcast.com for all Blogcast updates. If you want to support the show, go to theartofcostume.com/podstore. Or you can head over to patreon.com/theartofcostume for some bonus content. For more costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, head over to theartofcostume.com, a blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.
Okay, you ready, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Am I ready? Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, I never do this in front of Elizabeth, the intro. Here we go. Hello, welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Spencer Williams.
And I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass. Look at you doing the intro, Spencer.
It's so weird. I don't like it. You need to be the intro girl.
All right. Yeah. Don't worry. That will always be my job on our main episodes.